Hey, it's Rebecca, and you are listening to Resilient by Design. Today, I am giving you an episode that's all about how to attract the right clients during a slower economic time. I'm going to walk you through, the basics of understanding your ideal client and that dream client and how to understand what it is that they really want out of life so that you can serve them. But then I take it to the next level and I'm giving you some really tangible takeaways and ideas of how you can meet those clients where they're at right now, serve them, attract them so that you can keep yourself busy even in a recession. I think this is going to be a really great episode just to get your minds churning with new ideas so that you can be proactive as opposed to reactive when all of a sudden maybe you don't have a job or it's not the right client or what have you. So I hope you guys enjoy this episode. I recorded this one 3 times. It didn't save. Here's hoping third time's a charm.
All right. I'm Rebecca Hay, and I've built a successful interior design business by trial and error, podcasts, online courses, and so many freaking books. Over the last decade, I've grown from an insecure student to having false starts to careers, and now I'm finally in the place where I want to be. Throughout my journey, it's been pretty obvious that I'm passionate about business and helping other entrepreneurs do the same. Each week, I'll share tangible takeaways from my own experience and the experiences of other badass women to help you build your confidence and change your business.
Okay. So today's episode is really, this is the 3rd time I've recorded it, full disclosure. The first 2 times I recorded, there was a glitch with the program I was using and none of the audio saved. So the joys of podcasting, sometimes it feels like you're reworking time. I don't know. It feels like a lost time sometimes if that happens, but it is just par for the course. And so here I am, 3rd time's a charm. And in fact, I think it was a blessing because when I first recorded this episode, it really was about how to attract your ideal client, the ones that really value your worth, and want to work with you. But the second time I recorded it, I sort of thought as I was even recording it, like, I feel like this is important information. And I mean, it's a lot of what I teach in Power of Process. But at the same time, I thought, I think I need to take it to another level because of this talk of recession. And I'm starting to hear from designers in our community, in my life, that things have slowed down a little bit. That there are fewer leads, that possibly proposals are kind of sitting out there, floating in the ether and not converting. That also projects are scaling back. Clients are asking for a phased approach. That certainly has happened to us recently with a project. So that all tells me that people are starting to get a little bit nervous, both clients and designers. And so I thought today would be a way better use of my time. Hopefully this one saves. If you're listening to it, we did it. But I thought it would be better use of time to talk about how do you attract the right clients who want to pay you your worth and give you that creative freedom in a down economy. How do you attract any clients, in fact, when the economy is slowing? So I'm going to walk you through today, the big question that I get by designers when it comes to finding your right clients, but also some ways and some real tactical methods that you can use to get in front of clients right now and how potentially you can pivot slightly to ensure that you remain in business if things do really slow down in our economy, because I do not have a crystal ball. I do not know. Maybe this is just because I'm recording this in the summertime and that is typically slower. People are not often thinking and considering doing their renovations. They're off on holiday. They're with their kids. They're enjoying their summer, especially here in Toronto, because summer is so short. It is not a big boom renovation time for things that are starting. Yes, renovations happening, but those are projects that started probably in the fall of last year or winter of this year. So I hope that it's just a summer slowdown, but in the odd chance that things are really slowing down, as the economists say, I'd like for us to be prepared. I'm all about, setting ourselves up for success. Act early, right? Start early. Start talking about how you are going to recession-proof your business now so that you don't end up in a panic situation right before something big happens and you don't know what to do, because we never make the best decisions when we are in a panic mode. We have a sort of flight or fight response, or fight or flight. What's the order? Don't know. So here we go. So I'm going to give you some ideas of what you can do inside of your business and inside of your marketing to help you get those clients even when things are slowing down. So first of all, to find the right clients is truly to know your clients inside and out. You need to understand who that person is and what they are looking for out of your service and the relationship with you. You need to really understand them so that you can meet them where they're at and be there to service them. Now, one caveat I will say that I think is very important to understand is that you will never attract those clients that you want if you personally do not value the service you're offering. If you undercharge for your services, or you do things for free, or you just don't feel confident in what you do, there is no way that a client is going to trust in you and have the confidence to fully give you that creative freedom. And that's full stop. I think that's really important. And so establishing processes in your business and feeling confident about the way you do things, having a contract, all that jazz will really help you feel more confident. But until you feel confident, it's going to be hard to attract those clients who have confidence in you. So let's move on. So how do you understand them? This is the biggest question. The biggest question I get is, I want to serve wealthy clients. However, personally, I did not grow up with wealth. How can I understand my ideal client if I am not like them? Right? How many of us have had that feeling? Oh my gosh, I want to do the $5 million house, but to be honest, I don't understand. I can't think like those people because I am not one of those people. And so maybe you didn't grow up frequenting a country club or going to a fancy private school. The thing is, we tend as humans to stay within our snack bracket. We kind of tend to gravitate to what we know. And so breaking through to another level can be really hard, and it will require extra smarts and extra effort. It does. But that doesn't mean that you can't level up and service a higher end client. So what do you do if you didn't grow up rich? Or if there isn't a lineup of clients knocking at your door? It starts with knowing who your ideal client is. And sometimes that's not enough. But let's talk about who that client is first, and then look at how we can make more waves attracting them, because maybe just knowing who they are isn't enough. So I'm going to talk about the ways you can attract clients, and then even in a slow economy. So if you know your ideal client, you'll know that you need to understand what those people want and need. You need to uncover their core values. So what types of magazines do they read? You want to find out, read these magazines, and see what pain points those magazines address. You know, I often reference the story of years ago, I was working with empty nester clients, and I loved working with them. And I thought, these are my ideal clients. They value what I do because it's not their first rodeo. They want high quality furnishings. They are patient when it comes to time frames. Like, they were all in all the ideal client. And when I was styling up their space, once we delivered all the furniture, I noticed a magazine on the coffee table, and it was called Zoomer. And if you know Zoomer magazine, it is for empty nesters. It's all about that stage of life. There's advertisements in there for travel, for, I don't know, like medication, like things like that. And I thought, oh my goodness, all this effort I've been putting into getting into this publicity, getting into these national magazines, I need to get inside this magazine so I can get in front of this client. But I also grabbed a copy of Zoomer from the store because I wanted to understand what ads are being served to those clients, because those would be addressing their pain points. So perhaps it's, you know, worry-free travel, not having to worry about your lawn care when you're away, right? What are the things that are causing that client to lie awake at night? Is it that they're traveling and they're worried about their house and that who's going to take care of it. What about maybe it's watering their flowers? Those types of things will give you insight into what is going through your ideal client's mind. Another example, do they listen to radio, perhaps? Maybe they listen to conservative talk radio. Find out what content they're consuming. Are they on social media? Are they just on Facebook because they like to share pictures of people's babies and grandkids, right? Maybe they're not really consuming anything. And they're certainly not listening to podcasts if they're empty nesters. I mean, maybe they love to watch daytime television. Find out what it is that they consume. Do they like fishing magazines? What are they into? The more you can understand what they're into, not only does it inform what they like and what they value, it also gives you a hint or an idea as to where you can start putting yourself as in marketing. And number 3, what stage of life are they at? I sometimes hesitate from using this because I don't want everyone to be so pigeonholed with your ideal client that it's like, it's a 50-year-old professional lawyer mom who's a divorcee and has 2 kids. That is so unbelievably specific. And I think that's amazing. Like, riches are in the niches, they say. However, what I have learned is sometimes you can find your ideal client at different stages of life, but also different demographic. Like, there are so many ways to understand what you attract, and it could just come down to what they might have all similarly shared core values, which I'll talk about in a second. But consider the stage of life, because oftentimes that's really easy for us to get in front of someone. Like, if you are targeting and you really want to work with young professional parents who have children under the age of 10, because you get them and like you understand their needs because you've also had little kids at that age and you're excellent at space planning when it comes to storage solutions and flow in the kitchen and open concept or whatever it might be, then if that's the case, how can you alleviate any pain points of that person? Right? So consider their life stage. Another element that I'm not going to go into great detail here, but I think it's something to think about are the core values. So core values meaning, do they value certain things over others? And a great example of this could be a client. Oftentimes I notice our ideal clients value convenience. They will value convenience over, let's say, money. So a great example would be somebody maybe who doesn't value convenience would not want to take an Uber downtown to go to a restaurant for dinner. They'd rather take public transit. And it's going to take them twice or 3 times as long, but they don't want to pay $13 when they could pay $2, even though it takes more time. That person values their time and really values saving money. Our clients, for example, value convenience. They will pay Uber. They will pay Uber with surge pricing just so that they can have the comfort of leaving their front door, sitting in a car that takes them door to door service. They perhaps lack time, but have money. So they would prefer to pay to make a problem go away. They might also pay for a gardener to do their lawn because they're time strapped and they want to spend their evenings and weekends with their family because they spend so much time working. Once you can start to uncover what those core values are, and you can use that in your marketing, then that's when you can attract people that might be different gender, different stages of life, different income levels. However, they all value the same thing. They value your service. So for example, in that case, if you're considering core values and you know perhaps that maybe one of their values is what is really that they want to have time with their family. And though they want their home to be beautiful, they just really don't see the value in them doing it themselves. So you could say something like, put in an Instagram caption, you don't have the time to shop the city for that perfect lamp. So let us do that for you. You could also use something along these lines. You don't want to spend your weekends in the tile showrooms. Leave those details to us so you can enjoy family time. What about someone whose value really is really connected with the sort of like how they look to other people. They have pride of ownership. They're a very proud person, and perhaps they value being able to showcase their level of success in their home. This is something I've seen a lot in some of our clients, and I've caught that just from the words that they use when they describe why they want to hire us. And a lot of times I've had 2 clients in the last year say, I'm just embarrassed about my home. I don't think it reflects our level of success or where we are. You know, the other board members have us to dinner and their homes are so beautiful. We are embarrassed to invite the board members back to our place. We really want to invest in our home so it's a reflection of our status. There's nothing wrong with that. That's their value. And so you could say something like, if this is your client, you're embarrassed at the state of your house and maybe it holds you back from having colleagues over. Let us bring your home to a level that matches your success. Blah, blah, blah. I just fumbled that one. These are just a few examples of core values and how you can start speaking to those once you get to know your client and who they are and really what matters to them in life. We are all such unique individuals, and the closer you can speak to their soul, I know that sounds so ridiculous, but it's true, the better. Okay, so once you know who that ideal client is, then you need to dig into where are they at right now. And this is the piece that I wanted to add in to talk about what's happening in the world, because we all still need to make money. We still want to do beautiful work. We just need to ensure that those clients know that we're here for them and we are ready to tackle their projects. So let me take a sip of my tea. Okay. And don't worry if you're still kind of figuring out who your ideal client is. That's its own exercise in and of itself. But even if you don't fully know yet, I think you can skip ahead a little bit to start trying to attract clients right now while you're working behind the scenes to really identify that ideal client. If you're newer in business or if you've just graduated from design school, you may not really know. You might have kind of a general idea of who you want to serve, but you haven't really narrowed it down, and that's okay. I mean, it took me years to finally start crafting my ideal client avatar, ICA statement, and now we do it every year. We look at it as a design team and we say, is this still our client? Do we want to up level? Maybe a $2 million house is not enough. Maybe we want to work with clients that have $5 million houses. Or maybe our clients are actually working on their second property, whatever it might be. It will also evolve over time. Okay, so where are they at right now? And how do we find that out? The challenge is just because you have an ideal client who in the past has wanted a certain thing from you, it doesn't mean that when the economy slows and there's fear of recession, that client is still as quick to invest in your service. So I always recommend 2 things. Ask and research. Ask if you have someone in your life, either virtually or in person, ask so you can get the information straight from the horse's mouth. Or B, if you don't have people that you can ask, research. I would argue that we all have someone we can ask because we are all on social media, most of us. So you can literally ask with a question sticker in your stories. So you can use social media. This would be the first place that I would invest in trying to do a little bit of research. Ask on social media. Hey, I don't know. What's going on with the economy right now? Are you holding back and waiting and seeing, or do you think it's business as usual? You could start asking questions generally to your audience. You could also ask more specific questions. And then what I recommend you do is you go into that story because you can see who answered what, and if it's a multiple choice, you can see who said yes or no. Those ones are really powerful too, because people are more likely to hit yes, no, maybe than actually respond with an actual sentence. But either one, try both, and then go back and look at who specifically said each of them. And I'm sure that there are people who follow you on social that you already know are of that income bracket or are, maybe they're that dream ideal client. Look at what they're saying. And if you don't know, then try and find some people online that are in that snack bracket. Who do you follow that's, I don't know, up north in the summer at a country club all summer, hobnobbing with all their millionaire, billionaire friends? What are they saying on their account? Are they talking about it? Maybe you can just ask them if you have a good relationship. Hey, what's going on? Do you think this is a good time for people to renovate? Start talking about it. Ask the people you know so that you can get a sense of what is causing hesitation so that later you can tackle these pain points and these objections head on. So in person, if you know someone, absolutely have these conversations. Ask them where they're at right now. Where's their head at right now, right? Oh, you said you were going to build a farmhouse, but now you're not building. Like, what's going on there? Is there a reason for that? Oh, is it interest rates? Or, I noticed, I don't know, that you had talked about doing a 3-story addition, but now it looks like you guys are just renovating your kitchen. Or, hey, or maybe that 3-story addition's going ahead, but we're just waiting on permits. Have the conversations. And I would say, talk to anyone you know about the economy and what trends that they are seeing, regardless of industry. And I think that's really important. I love talking to friends who are in completely different industries. I spoke with a friend of mine who works at LinkedIn, and she was saying that some of their biggest accounts have reduced their marketing spend by a ridiculous amount, by 75%. And so that's really interesting. Okay, so some companies are pulling back on marketing. What else is happening? I can tell you that ignorance is not bliss in the long run. Ignorance is not bliss in the long run. Ignorance is bliss in the short term when you don't know what's going on and you're just happy in your little bubble. But it comes back to bite you in the behind because you're not prepared and you're not ready and you don't fully understand what's going on. Get educated about what is happening. And I'm not saying this to cause fear and panic, but I would so much rather you come out of this with, at least this episode, with kind of an idea or some new ideas or plans of action, some strategy that you can follow to get you a little bit ahead of the game so that we are all proactive, so that you are proactive in planning and reaching out so that you have the work to get you through the hard times. Okay. So you're talking to people on social media, you're asking them in person, you're asking all your friends, you're talking about it. And it's not to spread fear. It's hey, what's everyone's impression? What do you think? I actually had somebody today I used the little notes, how Instagram has this new little notes feature. And I was I was going to try it. And I put, are we in a recession yet? What do you think? Or are we in a recession right now? What do you think? And someone responded and said, an expert told her that if people are using the word recession, then we're in a recession. And I was oh yeah, that totally makes sense. I think about it, I liken it to what I always say, which is people ask all the time, how do I know if I should hire? I'm really busy and I don't really know if I need to hire right now. I always say, if you are asking yourself the question, do I need to hire? The answer is usually yes. Because that means that you're so busy that you want the help, you're just afraid to take the leap. Okay, so what are their pain points? So what is the information that you are getting? Are they nervous? Are they worried what the neighbors might think if they do spend money at a time when people are pulling back? Do they need help maybe prioritizing because they only have so much money to spend? They really want to spend it, but they can't decide if they should do the main floor redecorating and floors or they want to do the basement reno. Are they still worried about timelines because our industry has been still super bananas with delayed product coming out of across the world? And, product delays, labor shortages, all that jazz. Are they invested heavily in the stock market and they just don't want to take their money out right now because it's lost so much value and that would just be dumb to take it out now? They'd rather wait and let the money get back up to where it was. Maybe they tried selling their home because they wanted to move, but they had to terminate the listing because they just weren't getting the offers that they wanted and they felt like they deserved. So are they sitting now with the house that they had already planned to say goodbye to and now they're kind of stuck in it? What about if they are house hunting and they can't figure out which new home has the right potential? There's so many pain points that people could be facing right now. And that is just a list of some of them that I have heard and that I have seen firsthand that I think you can start creating a list. And once you create that list of pain points, oh my gosh, now you can figure out how you can serve these people. Can you add another revenue stream? Do you offer hourly consulting? Do you talk about it in your marketing? Like, what is it that you can do to meet these people where they're at? Do you offer a phased approach? All I can think is like, it's gold. As soon as you know what people's objections are and what their pain points are, you can easily come up with ways that you can help them. So you want to consider the pain points and figure out how you can address them. Talk about it in your marketing. And by marketing, I mean, when you are talking in person, if you're on Instagram stories, if you're doing an Instagram post, if it's on your website, if you are getting featured in magazines, if you are at an event, if you're talking in a discovery call, that is selling, right? If you're at a consultation, that's marketing and selling. You maybe are skilled at the thing that they need help with, but you don't talk about it because you're always talking about how you're really great at mixing color, or you really elevated this family home, by changing the layout, but maybe you are also really skilled at prioritizing the budget. That speaks directly to that person who's worried that they only have so much to spend and they don't know where to invest it. We just went through this experience where our client said, oh, we actually only have this much and you've designed everything and where do we spend the money? And we worked with our clients to prioritize. Let's invest on this now because then it's done. And then later, we can add in a phased approach. Maybe you talk about how you work with clients on a phased approach to design. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. Now, I will add that this is not necessarily like the projects you want to do forever, but I do believe that we need to be very careful to not alienate ourselves, because you need to be flexible at times when the economy is not booming. I remember designers saying to me, like back in the 2008 recession, how they went from decorating, designing, renovating whole homes to like a dining room, a living room. But guess what? Those were the design firms that made it through the recession, that didn't shut down. So you're going to need to be flexible. You're going to maybe have to veer a little bit outside your process, but sticking to it as much as you possibly can, because you guys know that there's so much power in that. But how can you tweak your system so you can still service people in a different way without making your life chaotic? Maybe here's some different ideas, right? Okay, so maybe they are afraid to build new. And you can help them. You can show them how they can work with their existing home. Maybe it's a light refresh. Maybe we just refresh the kitchens. Let's add a bunch of value so that when you go to sell it in a year, it's really going to fetch top dollar. Maybe you do one room at a time. Oh, they want to have the full meal deal and they really want to decorate everything. I'm a strong believer in focusing your money in completing one area versus spreading it across the whole main floor. And at the end of the project, it's like, where did my money go? So I would prioritize room by room. So maybe you could do one room at a time. Maybe you do consulting where you say, you know what? I'm going to charge a little bit more per hour and I'm for hire, designer on call. Give me a call, book a time with me. And it's not, maybe you do an initial consultation and then after that it's consulting. It's cash flow, right? Cash flow is key. And sometimes what'll happen is you start doing that consulting and you build a relationship. And then that person's like, oh, I've loved working with you. I'd really love to work with you on our third story edition. Can you like put together a proposal, what that would look like? Let's do that next year. I'm looking at my notes I'm missing. I wrote something else down. Oh yeah, connecting with vendors, trades. So this speaks a little bit more to trying to get in front of clients because contractors, trades have clients coming to them all the time. Let your trades know, let contractors know, hey, listen, we're a little slow right now. Do you have any work? I'd love to work with you. I recently went through an experience where a contractor called me because they had a client looking for a designer. I'd never worked with this contractor before. He followed me on social media and I said, oh my goodness, this is a bit smaller than the typical jobs I would work on, but I'd love the opportunity to work with you. We're always looking for new contractors. And of course he was like, oh, really? Oh, like a lot of people assume that you're too busy for them, whether they're clients or trades. A lot of people assume that they aren't big enough. They aren't good enough. And yes, even you, the small little designer who's a solo working from home, you look pretty fancy, girl. Just saying, don't forget it. I think that was a little loud. I'm using a new audio recording system and it shows me when I get too loud. It goes pop, pop. Okay, this is a lot of things. I don't want to overwhelm you, but you could also offer a phased approach. I mentioned that earlier. And some great places to connect and get clients if you're like, okay, this is all great. I have these new service offerings, or I'm going to sort of shift, but how do I get in front of people? Honestly, old-fashioned networking wins every time. I would say realtors, connect with real estate agents, connect with past clients, send a newsletter, let people know that we're now offering this, or send a newsletter saying, how are you feeling about the changing economy? We're here to serve you. We're offering flexible consultation or flexible consulting for a limited time. It doesn't have to be that you're changing how you work forever, but maybe you have to be a little flexible at this time in your life. And then I would just say the last thing would be look back at your referral sources from the last year. And this is an exercise that I talk about when I do my end of year planning. So if you guys have listened to those episodes, or if you haven't, you can go back and listen to it, but it's a very powerful exercise. If you are tracking with every new project where that lead came from, what the referral source is, then you can go back and look at it and say, isn't that interesting? Most of my best projects came from like 2 of my girlfriends from high school. I should reach out to them, maybe take them for coffee, get in front of them again. Maybe they have some friends who are looking to do some work. So always look back at where your best clients come from so that you can tap into those lead referral sources. Okay. Ultimately, you need to start thinking like your client and not like you. It is how you are going to get not inside their head, but is how, if you're inside it's how you are going to get their attention, because they're going to feel like you're inside their head. I think that with a little bit of creative footwork, if you will, a little bit of reflection and a lot of conversation, you can get in front of more great clients and build relationships and get that work and still make a beautiful impact. Be intentional. Don't just throw it all out there and say, screw my process, I'm for hire, whatever you want. But be flexible. Be flexible because this time will pass. This might just be for the summer and it could be a blip. It could be a more extended slowing of the economy. I don't know. As I said, I do not have a crystal ball, but I think now is the time. Now is the time to up-level your skill set, up-level your systems in your business, get smart about your marketing and get in front of the people, because there are tons of people out there who need you and want what you have to offer. All right. I hope that episode was helpful. Here's hoping it actually records and saves, to my computer. I would love to hear from you about what's going on right now in your business. Are you finding that things have slowed down, or maybe this episode is totally a moot point because, is that the right word? Because you're slamming busy and you don't even know what to do. Your pipeline's filled for 2 years. I'd love to hear either way. So join our Designer Meetup Facebook group. I've recently launched a pretty new, exciting thing inside that group. I now have a live, how would I call it? It's new. I'm still trying to figure out what to call it. It is like once a week I go live. It's called Candid Corner. It's my little corner of the internet where I can be super candid because it's inside a private Facebook group. And I answer your questions. I talk about what's going on in the industry and the world, give you lots of tough love and motivation, inspire you to do better and be your best business selves. So if you're inside that Designer Meetup group, definitely go and check it out. Join me live, watch the replays. But I would love to hear from you because I really want to make sure that we are creating content for this podcast that resonates. And just so you know, Power of Process is coming back in September. If you are listening to this in real time, that means that you need to mark your calendars. I believe it's mid-September. I'm going to say September 15th, but I could be wrong. But save the date. Power of Process is coming back. There is no better time than now to really dive into ensuring you are set up to serve your best clients. Anyhow, you guys can find out more about that in the show notes. But I hope this episode was helpful, and I will see you soon.